Hi guys, James at Rampant Lion Reviews again for you today with another beer review. For this one, we are going to head down to Australia once again, and we're going to return to a brewery that has now featured on the channel a good few times before. I've had some really nice beers from these guys over the last year or so, a few different styles, but I think it is most definitely fair to say that this brewery are best known for their different kinds of fruity, juicy, modern, smoothie, whatever we're going to call them, sour beers, and also their kind of New England hazy, whatever we're going to call them, IPAs. But the beer we're going to have a look at today is a style that I have had from these guys before. It's one that I know they do really, really well. I'd say they're potentially one of the best in the world at this particular style at the moment, and it actually reminds me quite a lot of a beer that I tried from them a wee while ago, and that was one of the main reasons why I couldn't resist getting this one. So yeah, needless to say, I'm very, very curious to see what this beer is going to have in store for us. Hopefully it's another good beer. Hopefully it makes for an interesting review, and as always, I hope that you guys watching enjoy my take on this one as well. So yeah, for this review then, we are going to head down to Australia. Like I said, we're going to go to the state of New South Wales, the city of Sydney, and we're going to go to the district of Botany, which is very close to the airport. But that means that we're going to have a look at yet another beer from the wonderful Drop Brewing company. This one is called Far From Jamdown. It comes in at 5.1% ABV. They're describing this one as a quadruple fruited smoothie sour, and this one has strawberry, banana, pineapple and mango in it. So yeah, it reminded me a little bit of the Holy Heka, which was the first one that I tried from these guys, and a big shout out of course to Akila at Craftissimo here in Hong Kong, who was the one that really put me onto this brewery. And yeah, make sure you check out his shop actually. But this is one that I picked up from Beer in Tsim Sha Tsui here in Hong Kong. They've always got a really good selection of One Drop stuff as well. But yeah, very, very curious to see what this one's going to have in store for us. I think this one might even be a little bit more kind of amped up than the Holy Heka when we tried that actually. So let's crack on and see what this beer is going to have in store for us. So as always with my reviews then, I'll tell you a little bit about the brewery before we taste the beer. If you want to get straight to the tasting though, just fast forward. All the usual links can be found in the video description below. That's the brewery website, the link to my other reviews that I've done from One Drop Brewing Company before, and we will no doubt add more to that list at some point in the near future. But there's all the usual social media down there. If you want to see more reviews, do please consider subscribing to the channel. The support that you give is massively appreciated, and remember you can go into the channel homepage and search for beer using the geography tagging system. So just go in there, use the little search bar, put in your hometown, state, county, province, whatever you like. If I've reviewed beers from the area that you search for, they will pop up. Failing that, you can check out the playlist of beers from different countries. You'll find this one in the Australian playlist along with a number of other things, and that is being added to quite regularly at the moment because we do have good access to Australian beers here in Hong Kong. But do check out the playlist of beers from other countries as well, because there are some very interesting things on the channel these days. But if you are particularly interested in Aussie beer, do check out my friend Sam Smalley at Short and Stout Beer Reviews. He's doing a lot of really good reviews and highlighting some really interesting Australian craft breweries actually, so we need to collaborate with him at some point in the future. But yeah, let's go on to my brewery notes then, and I'll tell you a wee bit about One Drop Brewing once again then. So, as I mentioned to you earlier, One Drop Brewing are based in the Botany area of Sydney, very close to the airport, and this company was founded in mid-2016, but they opened their doors in 2019, and the four people behind this company are Clay Grant, Meg Barbitz, Nick Calderscoles and Liam Quinn. So Clay has a background in food catering, and he shared the idea with Meg, his wife, that he wanted to start a brewery, and she was very supportive of this. She had worked with tech startups and she liked the idea of them having their own startup company together. So Nick is originally from New Zealand, and he was actually the original head brewer at Garden Brewery in Zagreb in Croatia, which is where he met Meg and Clay, who were on holiday visiting Meg's family. But Liam is Nick's best friend, and he was in the army but also had a lot of experience from the hospitality sector. So between these four guys, they had a hell of a lot of experience, and that made the ideal team for founding their own company together. But the idea behind the name One Drop is that a single idea or action can change the course of everything, and I guess for Clay and Meg, it was going to Garden Brewery in Zagreb that really kind of helped get this idea off the ground. But the brewery itself is located in an old paper mill, and they sourced their brewing equipment from the Canadian company DME, and this includes a 12 hectolitre brew kit and 6 24 hectolitre fermentation vessels. I believe they've expanded that capacity quite a little bit over the last few years though, and they've also got a canning line in there from East Coast Canning as well. But as of May 2024, when I'm filming this review for you, these guys have produced 380 different kinds of beer according to Untappd, and that number will no doubt continue to increase. But from what I've been led to believe, these guys are most well known for those New England hazy IPAs and also these big, juicy, fruity sour beers that we've been trying over the last little while. So yeah, that is everything I can really tell you about One Drop Brewing Company for the moment. If you want to learn more about these guys, you can check out the brewery website, you can follow them on Facebook and Instagram to keep up to date with all the latest goings on, and you can check out the Rate Beer, Untappd and Beer Advocate pages to learn a wee bit more about all the different beers that these guys have done. So yeah, let's go on and have a little look at the beer itself then. That's us done with the brewery notes. So I would just like to have a wee look at the artwork on this one before we open it up. There you can see, not sure if it's meant to be a lion or more of a tiger face. I think it's more of a tiger face, that one, to be honest with you, but it looks very, very nice, although the mane is a little bit more like a lion, isn't it? So yeah, forgetting my big cats a little bit. But there you can see One Drop Brewing Company symbol, gold top on the can as you very often get with these, and it tells you a wee bit about the beer on the back here, as you can see, far from Jamdown. But like I said earlier, this one comes in at 5.1% ABV. They're describing it as a quadruple fruited smoothie sour, and on the back here it tells you about it. So it says, far from Jamdown is a new topped up to the brim kettle sour that's been given our full fresh fruit smoothie treatment. Starting with a lactose and oat heavy base soured with our house lacto culture, we've then gone and dropped the holy quartet of fruits we use here at the Drop. Strawberry and banana is a Dardy combo with pineapple and mango. Fruits from afar, come feel it in the One Drop. Proudly independent, brewed on land of the Kamayangal people, if I can pronounce that correctly. I do like that. A number of Australian breweries now are, paying tribute to the local Aboriginal tribe as well, which I think is great because, historically, I think the relations between the settlers and the Aboriginals in Australia have not been that great, but that's another story. Anyway, like I said to you earlier, 5.1% fruited sour, this one. Let's get it out into the glass and see how we get on. Really, really looking forward to this. Oh, so, yeah, I can tell this is going to be good. Let's just get this guy out into the glass and see what it's all about. That looks awesome, I have to say. Just look at the sheer colour of this one. We'll sugar up the last little bit and just pour the rest of it in there. It looks really, really nice, I have to say. Look at that head just forming. We've got most of the beer out into the glass at this point. You can see that it poured with that half finger of a frothy, I would say, kind of yellowy, cream coloured head there. I'd just like to have a wee look at that before we open it up, but it looks absolutely awesome, I have to say. Yeah, you can see this beer is just soupy and gloopy to beyond imagination, to be quite honest with you. So yeah, the colour of this is pretty damn impressive, I have to say. So yeah, as I've told you on the channel many a time before, when it comes to your beer, there's a few different things that determine the colour. One is the type of malts that you use. This goes a long way to determining your EBC rating. Two is the length of your wort boil. That's the longer you boil the wort, the more the sugars caramelise, and thus you get a darker coloured beer. But any barrel aging that you do or adjuncts you put into the beer will affect its colour as well. But that can vary from brewery to brewery and beer to beer and things like that. But when it comes to these kind of modern fruity juicy sours like this, the colour is very much going to be down to what fruity adjuncts you actually put in the beer. So yeah, the colour of this one, as you can see, it's a real mix. It's like it reminds me of lentil soup actually. It's the same colour as my mum's lentil soup that she makes, which is quite funny. But yeah, the colour in this one will be primarily down to the mango, the pineapple, is it pineapple? I'm forgetting, I thought it was passion fruit. Mango, pineapple and the banana are the ones that are most likely to be giving you the colour in this one. Maybe the darkness of the colour in this is due to the presence of the strawberry, right enough, but the haziness in this beer, the kind of opaque character that it has is most definitely down to the presence of the oats and the wheat and things like that in this one. So yeah, colour of this beer is pretty damn impressive actually. So yeah, colour and appearance of this beer I should say. Not too much in the way of visible carbonation with this one, but you'd kind of expect that from these kind of modern fruity juicy sours. But yeah, I think that's everything we really need to say about the appearance of this one. I'm just going to pause the recording for a little minute because the camera's saying it's overheating, so we'll pause it and see if we can fix that, and then we go on to the aroma. Catch you. Alright guys, apologies for the edit there, but I think we got the camera cooled down again on the phone. So yeah, we were just about to move on to the aroma of this beer then. So let's have a wee look at it and see how we go. Yeah, as you often get from these one drop sours, you can see the sweat on the glass there because I put this back in the fridge for 5 minutes. Crazy how it does that so quickly, right enough. But yeah, the backbone of this beer is lovely. The banana, I'll say, in this one is a little bit more prevalent, and as I've said in some of these videos before, I'm not a big fan of banana. I think, you know, to be quite honest, I've hated banana since I was young, but one drop, somehow with these sour beers, actually make me kind of enjoy that as part of the flavour, so kudos to them for doing that. But yeah, the vibe that you get from this beer is very similar to what you'll get from the other one drops. I mean, you've got a lovely, very rich, juicy, creamy, fruity character to it. You've got the big sort of yogurty backbone that you want from this style, and you just have that little bit of kind of green component placebo coming out of the beer too, which I think is really nice. So for me, the aroma of this beer is pretty damn good, I have to say. So yeah, let's just break it down then and describe it for you a wee bit more in depth actually. So the backbone of the beer, if you take it in like really deeply, you get that lovely little bit of like fresh white bready bread crust in this one. So you can smell that lovely little bit of like fluffy fresh white bread in there as well, of course. Wee elements of like cracker almost too. You can smell a little bit of a more dense and sweeter white bread as well from the presence of wheat. I'm pretty certain there's quite a little bit of wheat in this one as well. But yeah, you can smell that big, smooth, oaty creaminess in this one. As I've mentioned before, oats and wheat and things, depending on where they're grown in the world, they can have remarkably different characteristics. I mean, for example, in Europe, the wheat that you get has a little bit more kind of dryness and a little bit of bite to it. But then, yeah, in America, the wheat is like really very smooth. And the same with oats. European oats, I think, are a bit more creamy than American oats, which have a wee bit more of a kind of dry, porridgey sort of character to them. So that's another interesting thing to think about when it comes to these. And obviously, it's probably Australian oats that are being used in this one, and they come across in these one drop beers as being extremely creamy. It's like European oats on steroids almost. So yeah, different soil profiles, different water profiles and things like that are going to make crops behave differently from across the world. That's the fundamental point I'm trying to make here. But yeah, the creaminess that you can smell, a little bit of the smooth, dry, creamy, oaty character coming out of this one. Yeah, the way that goes together is really nice, and on top of that you get that big sort of petit filou yogurt type quality coming out of the beer as well. There is a little touch of that like Werther's original butter candy, butterscotchy sort of thing in this one as well, but that's quite minimal. I mean, this beer is only 5.1% ABV, so in terms of the amount of alcohol that you could put in this one's actually very low. In that sense, you could probably take this beer way up to about 10% ABV or something with the amount of fruit that's in here, and you wouldn't really notice the difference in terms of the flavour and things, apart from that you'd maybe get a wee bit more of that butter candy, butterscotchy type character out of it. But yeah, all in all, the way the aroma of this one goes together, I think, is really pretty damn nice. So it gets a big thumbs up from me. Yeah, the malty side of things in this one is great, and the more that you smell of it, the more the bready character feels a little bit like banana bread, I would say. So yeah, it's really interesting. I've often said that these kind of modern fruity smoothie sours, whatever we want to call them, I've often said that these beers are quite simple in terms of their flavour profiles and their aroma profiles and stuff like this, and you know that tends to hold true for most of them. But if they're done right, they're beautiful, beautiful beers to drink, absolutely. And in this case, I feel this one's got just a little bit more complexity to it than some of the other ones we've had actually, so that's an interesting point to make about this beer certainly. But yeah, I think we've covered the malty and yeasty side of this one. Let's look at the green component and the fruity side of things. So one of the things we have to think about with these modern fruited sour beers is that some breweries don't like to use hops in them, some breweries will. So if you go back to the old Belgian style sours, the Huizes and the Flanders Reds and things like that, what they used to do was they would use older hops that had lost a little bit of their alpha acid potency because they didn't want the hoppy bitterness to detract from the sourness of the beer. Now, when it comes to the more modern sour beers like the Goses, the Berliner Weisses, and the kind of smoothie sours that we have these days, one of the arguments is that when you add fruit into the beer as an adjunct, it's always going to suppress some of that green component anyway, and that is true. That is absolutely true. And so because of that, many modern sour beer brewers don't use hops in these beers, but some will do it just to add that little bit more complexity to the flavour. It really just varies from brewery to brewery. Now, I'm pretty sure that One Drop don't actually use hops in these beers, but regardless of that, you will still get a little bit of placebo effect from them. So for me, there is like a little tiny touch of a kind of herbal character and a wee bit of like grassiness to this one as well. So yeah, the way that this beer goes together, I think, in that sense, is really, really very, very nice. So yeah, you do get that little bit of green placebo in this one for sure. But like I kind of indicated earlier, the banana is sort of coming across as being in the background of this beer, and you get a little bit of the juicy strawberry. But for me, I think it's actually quite well balanced. Like in the top of the nose, I think you're getting the pineapple and the mango out of this one. The mango is actually very rich and very very ripe in this aroma, and you can get the oily pineapple in with that. But then yeah, you can smell the juicy strawberry underneath, and I think the strawberry takes a wee bit of time to come out in the nose, in all honesty. But then yeah, you smell the banana giving you the backbone of the beer. It's almost like the yogurty character and the bready character is a little bit banana-y, and then the other fruits are kind of added into it. So yeah, aroma-wise, this beer for me is really, really interesting, and I like it. I really do like this one. So yeah, as I always say, just take a little bit of time to enjoy that aroma before you get stuck into the beer. But I think it's about time that we have a taste of this one then and see how we get on. But yeah, beautiful aroma from One Drop once again actually. So let me just get the rest of this out here, because you don't want to waste a beer that's probably going to be as good as this. I just noticed the lion has some Rasta things on his hair, so that's kind of cool. So obviously the lion's got some dreadlocks there. I don't know why I didn't make that condition earlier. Far from Jamdown, and yeah, it kind of makes sense. Have a jam, play a little bit of reggae and things like that. So yeah, that's it. Always did like a little bit of Bob Marley, even though I'm like a massive metalhead. But yeah, Far From Jamdown, 5.1% quadruple fruited smoothie sour with banana, strawberry, pineapple and mango in it, from the wonderful One Drop Brewing Company in Botany, Sydney, New South Wales, down in Australia. Let's get stuck into this one. Slàinte, skål, cheers. Yeah, just ridiculous, honestly. Absolutely ridiculous beer. I've just even noticed a little bit on the side of the can, so we're not going to waste that. There you go. Yeah, what do we say about this one to start off? But again, One Drop really are just kind of killing it with these big fruity smoothie sour beers at the moment. This is wonderful. This really is very, very good. There are a few other ones still in Gur beer and things like that, so I'm tempted to, I don't know how regular they are putting different ones out, or if it's, you know, a rotation of rebrewed ones or whatever, but yeah, these One Drop beers are really, really on point. These are some of the best fruited sour beers in the world, I would say. So yeah, this is really, really, really very, very nice. So all I can say is that. But yeah, the beer is kind of exactly what you would expect if you know this brewery. This is awesome. Yeah, so let's just break this beer down then and describe it for you a wee bit more in depth, as we always do. So, middle third of your palate then. The backbone of the beer, you get that lovely, fresh, white bready bread crust in there. So yeah, lovely smooth, white bready bread crust forming the backbone. They're very light, I would say. It's not really dry by any sense of the imagination. Teeny little, tiny bit of woodiness there further forward. I always get that on the palate for some reason. You can feel the slightest hint of cracker on top of that little bread crusty character as well. Then you've got that fluffy, fresh, white bready layer in there, the more dense, wheaty white bready layer as well. But then it's all about that big, oaty, creamy, yogurty type character that just sits above it. And yeah, the oaty creaminess and the big sort of petit filou, yogurty type notes that you get out of this beer are really, really damn awesome in this. I think it's really, really nice. So yeah, bit of bread crust, bit of cracker, fluffy white bread, a more dense white bready note in there, and then yeah, you have that how would you say, you do have that nice big sort of creamy you do have that nice big sort of creamy oaty character and that yogurty note above that, and that just lingers there. If you go to the dead centre of your palate, you'll get a nice wee bit of a kind of Werther's Original butter candy, butterscotchy sort of thing, and yeah, that is really, really nice. So yeah, the butter candy, butterscotchy sort of thing out of this one is that kind of sits there into the aftertaste as well. You just get that little bit of sweetness out of it. Maybe a tiny little hint of biscuit in there as well. But as I say, the yogurtiness and that very slight acidity of the yogurty character comes out of that into the aftertaste. But yeah, the more that you go into the aftertaste, you'll get a wee bit of the drier character from that bready base, and it really feels like a kind of banana bready character that you get out of that. So yeah, I think that covers the middle third of the palate in this beer, and it, yeah, like I said, it goes together really, really nicely actually. Yeah, awesome stuff. So on the middle third of your palate, I think that's everything. So we can go to the back third of the palate, and as I've always said on the channel, or often said, the back third of your palate is generally going to give you the same flavours or similar flavours to the middle third of your palate, just at different intensities. But do remember that trend that sweeter flavours come out further forward on the palate, more dry and bitter flavours come out further back. That's definitely the case here. So yeah, for me, the the back third of your palate and that one, that border region, you get that little bit of build up in there, and there's a wee bit of kind of the white bready fluffy character in there. Then you get the more creamy oats and the yogurty note that sits above that. So the oats in this one, they become a little bit more apparent into the aftertaste as well, but yeah, you can feel that creamy oaty character in there, lovely and smooth of course, and then the yogurty character above that. But the base of that back third of your palate, you've got a slightly drier white bready bread crust in there, wee bit of cracker of course as well. You can feel that fluffy white bready layer from the barley malt. You can feel like a more dense white bready layer in there from the wheat as well, and both of those layers are lighter and more airy and just that little touch drier. But then you can feel the kind of creamier oaty side of the beer, and some of that yogurty character just creep over the top of that on the back third of your palate too. So yeah, above everything else there, you start to get the yeasty character from the beer coming out too, which is very, very nice. So let's focus on that yeasty character for the moment. So yeah, the yeasty side of this beer for me, I'd say it really is like at the centre. It has a wee bit of this almost like vanilla sort of sponge cakey type quality to it. Then as you move further out from that fluffy white bread, and then it's almost got like a little bit of that yogurty acidity around the edge of it there. So the yeasty character that comes out of this one is really, really quite interesting. It's quite different to what we've had from other you know, fruited sours in recent times. I wonder if that's just due to the sheer presence of fruit in this one, you know, quadruple fruited sour. I don't think we've had too many that have been quadruple fruited on the channel right enough. But yeah, whatever they're doing with the malt base and the yeasty side of this beer is pretty damn good actually. So yeah, definitely. Flavour on the back third of your palate is a little bit taller, and as you move further forward into the middle third of your tongue, it just kind of condenses down and squashes together that little bit more. So yeah, on the hoppy side of things, or the placebo side of the beer, I'm going to say that I'm pretty sure there's not hops added into this one. You can just feel that juicy fruity character there, but at the same time you still get a little bit placebo, like I'm getting a very slight earthy herbal thing on the back corners and sides of your palate, and then a little bit more very slight floral note on the front corners of your tongue and a wee slight grassiness there. But yeah, I think it's the mango, the juiciness of the mango and the kind of ripeness of the mango there is just pushing against that. So you get the mango sharpness pushing against that in the foreground, and then as you go into the aftertaste, you start to get a little bit more of the oily pineapple as well. So yeah, the tropical fruits are really pushing against that actually, which is quite interesting. But let's go to the front third of the palate then and look a little bit at the fruity adjuncts in here a bit more. So the border region between front third and middle third of your palate, again you get a little bit of that bready build up in there. You've got the white bread in the base, the more dense wheaty bready character there, then more of the oaty creaminess and the slightly yogurty character above that. But the base of that front third of your palate, again, soft white bready bread crust in there. On top of that, you get little tiny bit of cracker, the barley malt white bread, the wheaty white bread, the kind of smooth creamy oaty layer, and then you also get that little bit of yogurty character above that. Then you've got that nice bubble, oily bubble where juicy fruity esters come out of the beer, if there are hops in that one. But I feel there's just a little touch of like an oily pear sultana type note in there. But yeah, above that you can feel the juiciness of the strawberry forming the back. Well, maybe actually I think the banana sits below that, so you can feel the kind of smoothness of the banana in there, and then the juiciness of the strawberry, and then the mango and yeah, the mango and the pineapple are sort of coming on top of that. So yeah, let's look at the impact flavours then. So yeah, when you take this beer in, it's the big ripe mangoes that are coming out for me, and the juiciness of the strawberry. Those are the ones that kind of impact the tongue right away. For me, good sour beers always have a nice transition, and this beer certainly does have that. So when you first take the beer in, you can feel that really nice ripe mango coming in and the juiciness of the strawberry behind it. But then into the aftertaste, you get more and more of the kind of more oily and quite soft, juicy pineapple actually. And then, as I say, the banana kind of feels as if it's more mixed in with the malty backbone of this beer. So yeah, the way that all of that kind of goes together, I think, is very, very nice. So gets a big thumbs up from me in that particular regard. So yeah, all in all, another beautiful sour beer from One Drop, but based on the experiences so far, I wouldn't have expected anything less. Let's round off this review then with another look at a wee look at the mouthfeel, I should say. So for me, as I say, these are some of the creamiest, thickest, smoothest smoothie sour beers you're going to come across. It really is thick, creamy, silky. All these kind of adjectives are going to describe this one. So I'd say probably full-bodied, probably middle range toward the top end of full-bodied, something like that. Carbonation is almost non-existent in this beer, I would say. The malt base, like we said, has a wee bit of dryness underneath. You've got a lovely smoothness in the middle, the creaminess on top, and that little bit of acidity from the yogurt and the wee bit of sweetness in there. But yeah, the IBU count in this one, I'm sure that technically this beer has like 0 IBUs, but you know, there will be 5 or something, 5 or 10 or something like that in here. There's a little bit of that going on. You've got the soft, juicy, fruity character, the oily ones if there were a little bit hops in there, but yeah, nice kind of soft impact there. The sharpness is coming from the mango, the juiciness is coming from the strawberry. You get a wee bit of oiliness from the pineapple as well, and I think that the banana just feels as if it's mixing in with all of the malt base in there. So like I said, another beautiful sour beer from One Drop Brewing Company, and at this point I really wouldn't expect anything less from these guys. Is it better than the Holy Hecka? It's hard to say, but it's equal. I think it's equally as good. I don't think it's any less good than that, to be honest with you. It would have been quite cool to do those side by side, to be honest with you, but yeah, going back and trying a nice yellow sour from One Drop Brewing I think is going to be a regular feature of this channel. But we should try a few more red sours as well from them and see what we get from those, look at different fruits and things like that. But yeah, I think we can leave it at that for this one. This has been a really nice beer to try. So yeah, this was the Far From Jamdown. I keep enunciating that wrong, that's going to annoy me. But yeah, this is a 5.1% quadruple fruited smoothie sour with pineapple, mango, strawberry and banana from the wonderful One Drop Brewing Company in Botany, Sydney, New South Wales in Australia. This beer is absolutely worth trying, as are pretty much any of the smoothie sour beers from One Drop. We need to try one of their imperial fruited sours as well, actually, and see what those are like. But yeah, let's leave it there. Once again, thank you for watching my beer reviews. Until the next time, please like, subscribe, share, all the usual YouTube stuff. Let me know your own thoughts on this beer in the comment section below. Let me know what your favourite beers are from One Drop Brewing Company as well, and we will definitely return to these guys again at some point in the very near future, because this beer was ridiculously good. Till then, slàinte, skål, cheers, and I will see you guys in the next review. Ciao just now.